The coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern. The GMC Sierra NBA Countdown. Back here at Kansas Speedway, on board with race leader by 5.6 seconds, Scott Dixon. He is turning this into the Scott Dixon Show. We can tell you 3 cars got various violations during that first round of green flag pit stops. The 8 of E.J. Vizo, the 36 of Bertrand Baguette, and the 66 of Jay Howard. And Vizo, at the point where he got his penalty, had come out of the mix in 5th. Will Power, with that extended stop, ends up dropping all the way back to 17th as he is now a lap down. There you see him right behind Mike Conway, who's also a lap down. Only 14 cars on the lead lap right now. Jamie Little?
Well, I just want to update what happened with Will Power. You know, we've been talking about this guy so far this season. This was the first pit stop he's had on an oval in a long time, and what happened is he overshot his pit box. We'll watch the replay here and see exactly. You see he's a little too far up. His nose is actually over that white line. Now you see the fuel hose up to the left. It was stretched so long, they had a hard time actually inserting it into the car, and that cost him, guys. He went a lap down.
So, mistakes by just a few inches cost you an awful lot out on the racetrack, and Will Power will now have to try and fight his way back from the 17th. Now, we mentioned it very briefly at the top of the broadcast. There is now an oval champion and a road course champion to be decided this year, as well as the overall champion. And Will Power, of course, could be the favorite for that road course championship, considering what we've seen so far.
I think so, and he absolutely understands that, and he was very excited about having the possibility of winning that championship within a championship. But make no mistake about it, all the drivers out there are after the overall IZOD IndyCar Championship this season.
So as Will Power continues one lap down in 17th, there is your race leader, Scott Dixon, and he has now opened up a 6-second lead. Scott, I mean, right now he is turning laps much, much quicker than everybody else.
Consistently in the 2:10 range and not having any problem at doing that. And I think the other guys are having problems around traffic a little bit. He got through traffic once he had that little bobble with his car, Marty, and then at this point now, he's got clear sailing up ahead of him.
You saw the gap to second place, Dario Franchitti. Then in third is that man right there, Ryan Briscoe. Behind him is teammate from Team Penske, Elio Castroneves. And then you're going to have to drop even further back, almost about 5 seconds to be exact, to catch 5th place, Vitor Meira. And that rounds out your top 5 here at Kansas. Now, we mentioned the fact that these guys have the push to pass. It gives you 12 seconds of extra horsepower. And Elio Castroneves just used his, we can tell you. He now has 18 left. The top 3 cars have only used it once. You get a total of 20. There's Milka Duno right in front there as she is a lap down. Racing sort of spreading out now as we have been lean, mean, and green since the drop of the green flag. But Vitor Meira, there you see how far back we had to go to find him. He's now 14 seconds behind the race lead, but still a big day for A.J. Foyt Racing. Vince?
Indeed, and it's interesting because A.J. Foyt is actually not here. He's at the Kentucky Derby, one of those rare instances where A.J. doesn't make it to a race, and he made that phone call earlier today to see how things were going, and the guys were very happy to tell A.J. that things were going just fine without him. I think A.J. took that in stride. Certainly happy the way that Vitor is running, and they did not make many changes. They just made a half a turn of front wing to give Vitor a little more flexibility in his in-cockpit changes, as you see that 9th place battle on your screen.
Yeah, it was 9th place with Mario Moraes in the 32. Hideki Muto right there is under attack from Takuma Sato, and Sato in 11th. This is his first time ever in an oval race.
And he had his finger on the push to pass there to try to make a move past Hideki Muto, but did not get it done. He's going to learn as he gets more experience on the oval to time it correctly. He didn't look like he had the car set up in a position that he could actually take advantage of that push to pass, and what he needs to do is to have a run on him, make sure it's clear ahead, and then push it just when he's getting into the draft so he can actually get himself up and around the car in front.
It gives you 12 seconds of additional horsepower, and then it takes 10 seconds to recycle before you can use it again. Checking in on the last car on the lead lap, 14th place right now is Danica Patrick, waiting for her to come into view because she's about to go a lap down. Right behind her there in the red number 9. Here he comes. Your worst nightmare right now, Scott Dixon.
And Marty, she knows that because she will hear on the radio that from the spotters and from her pit box that the leader is behind her, so she'll push as hard as she possibly can. She's done a great job now by getting a car just in between her and the leader, Scott Dixon, who you ride on board with right now. But Dixon is learning very quickly to be able to catch up to her. She can see in the mirror, she can see the car coming, and as a driver, you try to find just a little bit more out of the car through the turns because you don't want to go a lap down.
And it has given her a bit of breathing space. We just heard her on the onboard again, having to breathe that throttle.
Yeah, and when you roll off a throttle just a little bit, that's when your car's not really too good, maybe in one particular spot. But when you lift off at a huge amount like she's doing, that means she's really pushing the car and trying to get a lot out of it and really taking it to extremes. Now, right behind her teammate, she's going to look to go around Marco Andretti. That's the car in front. She needs to time that right, and she did not, and she got out of the gas because she got the dirty air from the car in front of Marcos. And around on the outside, the right-hand side, you just saw Scott Dixon go past.
So Scott Dixon has now led 9 of the 10 oval races last season. He led the most laps in 5 of them, and he won 4 of them, and he's leading here.
The rubber is, the car starts to walk itself up, and when you feel the car start to move like that, you can't turn the steering wheel very much. You can't get off the gas. You can't touch the brakes. You're just along for the ride. You can see as it starts to enter up into the gray, you can see the dust start to come off, and then you are sucked just up into the wall, and so he is out of the event.
Suspension on the right front, as you can see, is bent badly, and the damage there. So how many cars do you think take advantage of the pit stop? Because it hasn't been that long ago since we did pit.
Well, we've got about 26, so I would think that anytime there's a yellow here in the oval, I think you got to bring it in and you got to take advantage of it because you're going to go down a lap. So we'll wait to see what the leader does, and as a driver that's behind the leader, then you turn around and you make the follow, and that's what's going on.
And the tough break for Marco Andretti. He's going to have to stay out. He was the last one just past to go a lap down. We have 12 cars on the lead lap, and they're pulling into pit road. Check out our Apex Brazil triple pits. Jamie?
Well, it was such a short stint. The cars didn't really change. I know that leader Scott Dixon said his car is better. They made an air pressure adjustment on the first round, said he was better. In the middle, Dario Franchitti getting crushed tires, filling it up with fuel. No changes for him. Ryan Briscoe was your pole sitter. No changes for him. 4 tires all down and away. It looks to be all clear, clean stops. Marty?
All right, thank you, Jamie. As we see our race off pit road, Scott Dixon, Dario Franchitti come out where they went in. Elio Castroneves picks up 1. Ryan Briscoe drops 1. And boy, 4 picked up by Ryan Hunter-Reay. Up to 6. How about that? Going side by side. A lot of things have happened during this first caution period. Coming off of pit lane, watch the 3 cars that are basically going to try and squeeze into a space that won't handle 3 cars. And on the far left, it is Milka Duno. And keep an eye on right here, Takuma Sato, the sandwich in that meet.
And she should understand there's a car beside her. She has to look in her mirrors, and also the spotter should be telling her what's going on. And so for Dan Wheldon right now, very lucky for him, he did not get taken out in this also. And I got to believe there's going to be some adjustments made in those front steering tie rods possibly when you get a bump like that.
And then this is what happened with Ryan Briscoe. He's only got 3 wheels. What happened, Jamie?
Well, they definitely had a miscue, and they thought they had some damage on their front wing, so they brought him in for the second time, put new tires on it, and made a front wing adjustment. It was kind of unclear. He just brought it in and said he thought he had damage.
So Briscoe now comes back out in the 11th position. We only have a total of 16 cars right now on the lead lap. Some of those are those that stayed out, including Marco Andretti, Matos, Will Power, and Mike Conway.
And lucky for Briscoe, otherwise if this had been underneath a green, he would have went down a lap.
That's right, his race could have been over. Let's check in with Rick DeBrule. He's caught up with EJ Vizo.
Yeah, very frustrated, EJ Vizo. You had a great start, started 16th and moved up very quickly. What happened?
Well, we were running very fast, and I'm very sorry with the team, with the people that support my career. I just did a mistake. I went a little bit wide and just hit the marbles trying to overtake Matos. Car was amazingly fast. I think that we definitely have a huge potential in ovals, and we need to get better in street and road courses, but it's just one of those things, trying, and very disappointed.
You had the drive-through penalty. Were you trying a little too hard to catch up?
I was not really trying any harder. I knew it was more than 3/4 of the race left, and I mean, every lap you do over there, every other lap, the track gets a lot worse with the marbles, and that was the case. I was overtaking Matos, and I just lost the front and brushed the